Now I'm wondering, do you say tier or tire? I think tier.
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 Tier. I mean, tier. Because I'm Italian, so that's great. Ciao, my name is Alessandro, and today we're gonna be talking about the Board Games Geek top 100 games, and we're gonna be tier ranking them. For those of you who don't know what a tier ranking is basically like you take something and you put it into categories, basically assign a grade to them, like you would do in school. From A to E, you basically give a grade, and then we're gonna have another grade above A, which is S, which is like superior, maximum enjoyment, greatest of all time, amazing, show-stopping.
Brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
Now, before you think I'm crazy, I know there's a bunch of super old games here in the back, and the reason why is that I'm in my hometown in Italy, which means I don't have all my board games with me. I don't have my fancy board games library to showcase. So yeah, I took all the board games that I had at home and tried to display them, and they're pretty old. They're also in Italian, so I don't think you know them. I know there's a bunch of people that watch my videos from Italy, so if you know any of these games, like, feel free to, be like, oh wow, that game was amazing when I was a kid, which they are not, because they're not amazing. But yeah, there's a Monopoly, there's a Cluedo, which is like Clue, but in Italian. There's a Vita, which is like life. I think they still make this game, so I don't know. I just showcased most of the games that I have, except a couple of modern games that I brought to play when I'm here. Can you spot the two modern board games? I don't know, because they're pretty known, they're pretty famous, so I think you know. Anyways, why are we here today? Because I saw many people doing this on Facebook. I'm in a Facebook group for Board Games Geek, and I'm in the Board Games Geek Facebook group, and many people were like tier ranking why are we here today? Because I'm in the Board Games Geek Facebook group, and I saw many people these days just posting their tier ranking of the Board Games Geek top 100 games, and I thought, let's give it a go. At the beginning I was skeptical because I played like 30% of those games, and I was like, does it even make sense that I talk about it? But maybe it does, it's just like entertainment. Maybe it's entertaining knowing what I think about these games for you. Maybe it's not, so It will be a 3-part series, and the reason why I can explain you now. Last month I made a mid-year review of all the games that I played in 2024, and I made like a top ranking of all those games, and let me tell you, it took me like 3 hours and a half to record that video, and I was stressed. First of all, because I had to go and play Arkham Horror with my friends, but also because I was like, this video is gonna be like insanely long, and then I got tired while recording it, so I don't want to be in that kind of situation anymore. I prefer like breaking up the video in several parts. I know also you might think, oh, you're doing just so that we subscribe and we look at the other parts. I mean, if you want to do that, if you want to subscribe, I would be very happy, but I'm not doing that for that necessarily. Like, it's just, I can get more videos out, I can get you not to get tired watching a 1 hour and 30 minutes video, and I cannot get tired while recording it. So it's a win-win-win-win. The only thing is that it's annoying that you can't see the full thing all at the same time. If that bothers you, I'm sorry. But speaking of which, if you feel like leaving a like or subscribing to my channel, I will be immensely grateful, and I don't know, I'm trying to do my best, so it would be rewarding for me to see like some numbers go up. It's just, that's YouTube currency, numbers. So if I feel like you watching this video and you're liking this video, I'm happy. It makes me happy, honestly. I think like I would do a hard like this, but I think that would make me millennial, so I'll do like this because I'm Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z. Now, enough with this, I don't know, random blabbering about random stuff. I will be talking about a handful of games that I actually know, Maybe I've played them, maybe I've just heard about them. I will try to give you as much information as possible about the games that I know and my opinions about them, if I have any opinions, because I played them, right? And I will tell you also how many times I played it. Like I will be talking about the production, the replayability, the strategic value, the, I don't know, whatever information I can give you that I know and I think it might be useful. For the games that I haven't played, I will be placing them into categories. I haven't played but wish to do so, or haven't played and I'm not even curious about it. I will probably add another category now that I think about it, which will be I know nothing about this game. So we will be going from position 100 and then going all the way up to the top to position number 1, and I think I'm gonna do the first 33 positions this time, then the next 33 positions in the next video, and then the last 34 positions in another video again. I hope you're gonna stick around and let's jump into it, shall we? So the first game, which is position 100 on Board Games Geek, is going to be Decrypto. Decrypto is a competitive game in teams, so basically you're collaborating with your teammates but competing against another team. You basically have 4 words and each word corresponds to a number, and each round one of the players of each team is going to try to make their team understand the code without making the other team understand the code, giving some hints. Now the tricky part is that your team is gonna be able to see the words, so for them making the connection between the words is gonna be easy, but the opposite team is kinda blind at the beginning. But little by little, since the 4 words are always the same, your opponents are gonna start understanding some links, some connections between the words, and start understanding what is the number that is connected to a word that is connected to another word that was given as a hint before. So it's kinda hard to explain, even when you're playing it, so you really have to play it. It's some sort of codenames, but more complex and more interactive and more like you really need to understand how people think, right? It has a very high replayability because there's so many words in the box, like you can play it as many times as you want. It's kind of a party game, but it's more on the harder side for party games, so it's one of the party games that I would actually play, because usually I don't really like party games, but this one is one of the exceptions. The reason why I like it is because I really like finding the connections with my teammates. One example is that I have a friend that really likes Taylor Swift and I really like Taylor Swift. So sometimes when there's like a way to make a Taylor Swift reference, I do that. The components are nice, nothing too special. The cool thing is that there's basically a little like screen that is red and you basically need to push like a card into this red envelope, and then you're only gonna be able to see the actual word once you place the red envelope in there. That was a nice touch that they gave to the game, but it wasn't needed for the game, so I really appreciate putting the effort in that production aspect. For this reason, I will be ranking Decrypto as an A. The next game on this list is Inis, and I have no idea what this game is, so I'm just gonna place it on the category that is assigned to the games that I have no idea what they are. I know nothing about this game. Next on this list, at position 98, there is Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. The only thing I know about this game is that I watched Rob's Gaming Table playing the 7th Continent and the 7th Citadel, and then it was mentioned a lot, so I assume it's a game kinda like that. Those 2 games are kind of exploration games, kinda long campaigns, mostly to play solo. I don't know much about this game, but I think I would like to play it or try it, or at least watch videos about it, so I'm gonna place it in the category haven't played but would like to try it. Next up is Concordia Venus. I never played this version of Concordia, I played the other version of Concordia, which is higher up on the list, so we're gonna talk about it later. I would say this is like a modernized spin-off, because this is from 2018 while Concordia is from 2013. Even though Concordia wasn't my favorite game ever, I think I would like to try this, so placing in haven't played but want to. Next up, Age of Innovation. I know nothing about this game, so I'm gonna place it in that category. And now finally the Search for Planet X. I think this is the only deduction game on this list, or is one of the highest rated deduction game ever, and I can see why. 2 to 4 people are going to compete against themselves to find Planet X first. There is also a solo variant where you can play against an automa, and basically what you're trying to do is using logical deduction rules to find several different types of stuff that is in the sky, you know? Asteroids, dwarf planets, comets, and then among these there is only one special planet that you're looking for, which is called Planet X, which is also the hardest thing to look for. And how you do that is basically either getting some more logical rules to apply on top of the logical rules that are applied to every game. So for example, the asteroids are always adjacent to each other. They're not, but I'm just making an example. Or for example, a dwarf planet is never adjacent to Planet X. Or you're basically going to survey the sky, and you have these 18 sectors of the sky, or 12 in the easiest version, where you're basically trying to identify all the different placements, all these different elements of the sky. So you're basically looking through a series of sectors and being like, how many asteroids there are between sectors 2 and 6. An app, because this is an app guided game, is going to tell you there are 3 asteroids in these sectors. Each of those actions is also gonna cost you some time, and depending on how much time you spend, you're gonna be able to have your turn earlier or later. So if you do a more expensive kind of action, which is like targeting, for example, which allows you to find exactly what is in a specific sector, that is an expensive action and is gonna cost you more time than just being like, I want to know how many asteroids there are between sector 3 and 6. Overall, the idea of the game is trying to find Planet X. Once the first person identifies Planet X, where Planet X is correctly, and not only Planet X, but also what is in the sectors adjacent to Planet X, that's the end game trigger. And once the end game is triggered, everybody has the chance to either try to find Planet X or place more guesses on other elements of the sky that it was gonna acquire them more points. And at the end of the game, not necessarily the person who found Planet X is gonna win, because during the game you're also gonna place guesses on the other elements, so asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, and that is going to score you a bunch of points. This is one of the best deduction games ever in my opinion, and I absolutely love it, but I own a different version of it. I own the Search for Lost Species, which is basically a re-implementation of the Search for Planet X, which talks about searching for animals and species that are going to be extinct very soon, so very rare species. And there's also a whole environmental sustainability discussion about this game, which is like made with recycled components, organic, all paper, no plastic, and so on. I think it's even better than the Search for Planet X, but it's a little bit more complex. So if your group of people don't really know how to deal with deduction games, maybe you want to start with something simpler like the Search for Planet X instead of the Lost Species, but the Lost Species, I think it's better in general. And the reason why it's better is because you can navigate an island instead of like having sectors that are like in a circle. You're basically moving in a little bit of a different way. It adds a couple more mechanics, like some perk cards that allow you to do some actions for cheaper. I actually have 2 playthroughs for the game that is called The Search for Lost Species, so if you want to look for them, they're gonna be in the description below. I just love this game because it's a deduction game and I'm a deduction boy. So you already know this is going to the S tier, right? You know it. You need to know it. Here we are, S tier, best game ever. Also, before everybody starts hating on me, I don't know anything about board games, okay? I have a very limited knowledge, and if I rank something low, it doesn't mean that it needs to be low for you. It can be a great game for you and I can hate it, and vice versa. You probably hate a bunch of games that I love. So I don't think anybody's gonna get mad at me for placing something in a different tier than they would have, but yeah. Peace and love. But anyways, if you have different opinions, it would be actually interesting to see why it's different from what I have, and please write in the comment section below and we can chat about it. Next we have Puerto Rico. I have no idea what this game is about, like zero clue, nothing. I'm sorry that there's a lot of games that I don't know what they are, but this is especially like in the lower ranking of the games, because I don't know, maybe they're not as popular as the top games, so sorry about that. Next up is Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders is at position 93 on Board Games Geek, and it's basically a drafting game, which means it's a game where you have a hand of cards, and you need to decide one card to pick up from the hand and play immediately, and then the other cards are gonna be passed to your opponents on the left or right depending on the age that you're in. The game is played over 3 ages, so 3 rounds of 7 cards that you're gonna have in your hand, and you're trying to build your tableau of cards so that you're gonna score the most amount of points possible. And there are a lot of different kinds of cards. At the beginning you're gonna focus on the material cards, so that in the next ages you're gonna be able to play more powerful cards that are gonna require more material, so that you can gain more benefits from those cards and so on. So it's kind of an engine building but tableau building too, where you're drafting cards, and it's an amazing game, and it can be played up to 7 players, which is also amazing because there aren't that many games that can be played up to this amount of players, so that's a very good point for 7 Wonders in my opinion. Most of games of this complexity can only be played up to like 4 or 5 people, but having a game that can be played up to 7 people, it's great. Now, does it work when all the 7 people don't know anything about the game? Absolutely not. I would not recommend doing that. I did that, I hated it, I wanted to kill myself. Don't do that. But if a handful of people already know the game, then it's easier to explain to everybody, and if everybody's focused about the game, then you have a chance of actually having a very good time. Plus, there's the 7 Wonders, which is like amazing. All the 7 Wonders of the old world. I've always been fascinated by that, so I really love the theme. It is obviously competitive, it has a high replayability because every time is different, and it plays very different at different numbers of players. You can have different strategies. It's not great at 2. At 2 you have a completely different version, you need to change a bunch of things. So if you want to play 7 Wonders but you want to play it in 2, we're gonna see also in this ranking there's gonna be 7 Wonders Duel, which is a completely different game but very similar, and that's much better than playing 7 Wonders in 2. Don't play 7 Wonders in 2, it's not worth it, not even in 3. I think from 4 to 7 it's enjoyable more than below 4. They actually re-implemented it with nicest illustrations in my opinion, and maybe like more intuitive like placing of the things. I never tried the new version, but if I ever buy 7 Wonders I'm probably gonna buy the newest version because it looks nicer, and I love stuff that looks nice. So 7 Wonders in my opinion is gonna go to B because I don't know, I just feel like it. I'm actually undecided between A and B. I place it in B because I don't know, maybe it's an A, but maybe it's a B. I don't know. I would make a very bad teacher. I would never know how to grade stuff. Maybe at some point you get used to it. Next game is The Voyages of Marco Polo, and I have no idea what that is, so sorry. Same goes for El Grande, which is a position 91, so right into that category. Then we have Dominant Species. I don't know much about this game, I just know that this game is really high appreciated by Jamie and Jeff by Foster the Meeple, and for me, that's enough. I wanna play it, I wanna try it out, I wanna see how it goes. I also know that the guy at my Board Games Cafe, where I just go and play board games, has Dominant Species, so probably I will play it very soon. I will ask him to play Dominant Species with me. So stay tuned if you want an overview of this game or a review. So this is gonna go in haven't played but want to. Next up is Through the Ages, A Story of Civilization. I don't know much about this game. I know that I was very close to buying this game, and then I think I read it somewhere that it can go up to 6 hours, and then I was like, nope, that's not happening. I don't know where I read it because BGG says it lasts up 120 minutes, but I think it must be a very complex game, and I was very lost when I tried to learn the rules to this game, so maybe I want to give it a try. I don't want to say that I don't want to play it, right? Because I don't feel like excluding a game just because it's too complex, but I feel like with the right audience I would like to try it, but it needs to be the right audience, right? I also know it has been re-implemented by 2015, A New Story of Civilization, Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization, but I don't know what's the difference. I just know that on Board Games Geek is rated even more complex, even though the complexity on Board Games Geek can mean nothing, but I think I'm just gonna place it on haven't played it but want to. Shall we do that? Let's do it. Next up is Lords of Waterdeep. I have never heard about this game, I'm sorry, so I'm just gonna place it on I don't know them, but if you have any of these games that you want to recommend to me, leave it in the comments and I'll be happy to check them out. Next up we have SkyTeam. I never played SkyTeam, but I've watched videos about SkyTeam. I think it's a brilliant, amazing two-players game. The problem is that I almost never play at two players, and that's kind of the issue for me. If I would be able to play at two players more often, I would 100% get SkyTeam. One of my friends has SkyTeam. I was thinking about playing it solo. I know that solo is not the same as in two people, because a huge part of the thing is like trying to sync up with people. Basically what you're trying to do is like landing a plane, and there's like 15 different ways in which you can lose the game if you're not using the dice properly to like, you know, align the plane or like arrive at destination at the right time. I think it's a very fun game. There are a lot of scenarios, and I think I want to try it out into people, but I'm probably gonna play it on my channel solo. So I'm gonna definitely put this in the haven't played but want to. For the next 3 games, I'm gonna keep it short. I don't know them, I'm gonna mention them, and I'm gonna place them in the I don't know them category. So the name for this one is Teotihuacan, City of Gods. I don't know, name sounds good, but it has gods. I love when there's gods involved, so that's all I know. Beyond the Sun, it's also, I don't know it. And Fields of Arley, I also don't know Ion's End, but it inspires me a lot. I don't know, I've seen pictures of it and I think I want to try it out, so I'm just gonna place it in that category. And then we have Clank, a deck building adventure. Now, this is the standalone Clank. Next up, we're also gonna see Clank Legacy, and I don't think I'm gonna talk about much more in Clank Legacy than I will do here. I never tried Clank, I never tried Clank Legacy, but I have tried Clank in Space, and I've watched a solo playthrough of Clank Catacombs made by C4, and it's amazing. I love that there's a solo version with a whole story for Clank's Catacomb, where you're basically modifying things and you're finding characters, and it's, I don't know, that was mind-blowing for me. It was a very great playthrough. Clank Catacombs is actually the most appreciated title of the Clank series, and I think they're more or less or similar, and how the game works is that, as in the title, it's a deck building game. So you're basically going through these tunnels in, like, depends, in space or in a dungeon or in the catacombs, it depends where you are. And the whole objective of the game is like trying to go as deep as possible, get one of the artifacts, possibly one of the ones that give you as many points as possible, and then get out. It's obviously a competitive game because at the end of the game, the person with the most amount of points wins, and the points can be the artifacts that you collected, but also the cards that you have bought during your turns and so on. What is very fun about this game is that you have some cubes that are called Clank, and basically you have some cards that allow you to add Clank, and they're probably more powerful cards, or remove Clank and they're a little bit less powerful cards, because the Clank are bad, because once a dragon icon shows on the cards in the market that you can buy, basically you put all the cubes in the bag and you extract a certain amount of cubes out of the bag, and then when one of your cubes is extracted, you basically lose health, and if you're at 0 health, you die. I love all the games that have a bag and stuff that you extract from a bag. And also, after the first person has escaped from the game, you have only a certain amount of rounds before everything collapses and you're stuck in the game and you're basically out of the game. So you need to have a good balance between like trying to delve deeper to get the most valuable artifacts, but also remembering that you need to get out at some point. Clank for me is an amazing game and it deserves to go to tier A. So off it goes, tier A, and they're making a digital version of Clank, so I will have to check it out. Even though I don't like digital games as much, I prefer like playing board games with cardboard, you know. I'm a traditionalist and I'm a stupid traditionalist. I don't play on BGA that much, for example, Board Games Arena. Next up, Eclipse. I don't know much about it. 5 Tribes. I don't know much about it. At position 79, we find Race for the Galaxy. Race for the Galaxy is basically a card game, so you're trying to play cards from your hand to gain the most amount of victory points, But what's very specific and peculiar about this game is that at the beginning of the round, everybody needs to select from their hand a card that represents a phase of the turn that is gonna be played during that round, and only the phases that have been chosen by at least one player are gonna be played during that turn. And that's amazing because maybe you wanna do like this and that during the turn, but you need to choose like, should I select phase 1 or phase 2? Is someone else gonna select phase 1 for me, so I select phase 2, or vice versa? And mathematically, whenever I think I know what the others are gonna play and I try to build my strategy around it, I don't, and I fail, and I make mistakes. I've only played it once, by the way, and I have a friend that really loves it, so I need to play it more. The difficulty is like medium hard, and I think it gave me a little bit of analysis paralysis when I played it, because also was the first time that I was playing it, so that's kind of normal. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't necessarily have this great knowledge about Race from the Galaxy, but I know it's a good game and I will rank it at B. Next up is Azul. I have beef with Azul. The reason why I have beef with Azul is that first, I don't like type placing. Second, I hate this game. Third, I'm horrible at this game. Fourth, I don't wanna play it. I don't wanna play it, okay? I don't wanna play Azul. If there are two games and one of them is Azul, we're definitely not playing Azul. Not necessarily, because the other one could be Cards Against Humanity, so in that case we're playing Azul. Kind of generally speaking, I don't wanna play Azul that much. It's basically a game where you're trying to get tiles from a supply, placing the tiles in some sort of tableau, and then the tableau, once a row is completed, you can actually place one of those tiles in the big scheme. It's a very unique game. I think you need to try it. I think it's a lot of people's cup of tea. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't see the good strategy. I'm not good at strategizing in Azul. I'm not good at patronizing and like making the right choices, making the right call in this game. So it's not for me. I don't like losing every single time because I'm shit at a game. It's a good game for beginners. It's pretty simple, it's easy, it's straightforward, and there's a lot of variants of this game. One thing I will say though is that I love the production in the chocolatier version of this game. It's beautiful. It just looks like little chocolates, and it's amazing. The production value of this game is actually very high because the tiles are very sturdy and very high quality. And there's also a mini version if you want to travel with the game. I never tried the mini version, but I think it's good too. So it's very popular game and it deserves to be in the Board Games Geek top 100. But for me, it's going at the E level. Bye Azul. I don't want to hear complaints. I'm not hearing. You can complain, it's fine, but I don't want to hear it. Agricola, I have no idea what the game is about, but it's so popular, I have to try it. I need to try it. And I think this is the revised edition, because there's another Agricola that is not the revised edition somewhere here, but I don't know what's the difference. Oh, it's here. Here it is. Next up is Dune Imperium Uprising. Dune Imperium Uprising is a re-implementation of Dune Imperium. I don't know exactly what are the differences. I only tried Dune Imperium Uprising and I've only tried it once, and I was not horrible at it. I think I did like around 10 points. My opponent did 12 points and the other opponent we had did like 3 points. So I wasn't horrible at it. I don't know why I'm saying all of this, but it's a Euro game that has a lot of different components. It has deck building, it has conflict, it has worker placement. It's a very, very complete game and I can see the hype around it. I haven't played it enough to give you a full overview. Also, there is a solo version, but you can play it up to 6 people, and in that case, it's basically 3 people against 3 people, and I would be extremely curious to try that out. I think they really thought a lot about this game, and the production value is very high. Obviously, the theme is all based on the Dune books, movie, or whatever you want to think about, right? So the resources are gonna be like the spices that are I think unique to Dune Imperium Uprising. It is a medium complexity Euro game, medium high complexity, so I wouldn't recommend it for like starting players, beginners. And one thing I will say is the conflict is important, especially in the later part of the game, because at the beginning I was like winning all the conflicts, and then at some point I was like, stop winning all the conflicts because now you need to focus on something else. And then in the later part of the conflicts, you would just get a ton of points with conflicts, and I just made a mistake in that case. I would definitely play differently now. It definitely has a learning curve. What I didn't like this game is that the deck building aspect, in my opinion, doesn't have the greatest value, because you're trying to build your deck, but the cards are not that amazing. You're not objectively seeing like a card that you're like, oh, I can chain that card with that other card and it's gonna be amazing. I didn't see that clear pattern that I could see in other games, but maybe I'm just not the greatest, at this game. If you have a different opinion, let me know. And it's for this reason that Dune is gonna go to C. Next up, we have Kingdom Death Monster. Never heard about this game, so I'm just gonna place it in that category. And then we have The Crew. What's funny about The Crew is that Jamie and Jeff from Foster the Meeple absolutely hate this game, while like everybody seems to have a different opinion, and that's just, I don't know, it's hilarious. Every time The Crew is brought up, they'll be like, they just blast it completely. They say they hate it, they can't stand it, it's like the worst game ever or something like that. It's just very funny to me, because in my opinion, this is a very good game. Jamie and Jeff, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not. Specifically, this version of The Crew is called The Quest for Planet 9, because there is another version called Deep Sea Adventure, which we're gonna see later. What this game is a collaborative trick-taking game. You're all collaborating to achieve some missions and take some tricks. What is going to happen is that there is going to be some mini cards that are gonna be like the copy of some of the cards that are in the deck, and you're basically gonna have to win a trick that includes that card, and sometimes you need to do it in a specific order. So sometimes you have a specific order of the cards that needs to be won in the trick, and sometimes it's extremely tricky to do that because it's a normal trick-taking game. So there are suits, and the first suit that is played is gonna be the one determining the suit of the trick, and the one that is gonna win above that, and obviously the higher number wins above the lower numbers. But there are also like some other cards called rockets, and they basically are winning over everything. But you can't play those if you have the color available in your hand of the trick that is being played. So you need to take into account a lot of things. Sometimes you need to repeat a mission multiple times before getting over it, and it's really gonna test out how synchronized you are with your group, or like strategize in the same manner. It's definitely not difficult at all. It can be replayed so many times in my opinion. Every time is so wildly different, and the missions can be the same but like completely different difficulty based on the randomness of the cards that you need to collect, because those cards are random. Try it out. I think maybe you're gonna hate it just like Jamie and Jeff, but maybe you're gonna love it. It's gonna rank at B for me, and that's just because it's a little bit basic for my standards. I like heavier games, more complex games. Actually, I think I'm gonna rank this at C, because I'm getting biased by the other version that is amazing. So you know what, D. This is gonna be a D for me, because they did a good job with this, but the other one, and we're gonna talk about it in probably next episode. Next up is Netrunner. I have no idea about this game, so I'm just gonna place it in the I don't know it. The next two games are gonna be Mech vs Minions and Hegemony. I never played these games, but the only thing I know about this game is that Jamie and Jeff talked about it in one of their ranking videos. Again, Jamie and Jeff from Foster the Meeple, which I keep mentioning them, but I watched their videos, so sorry about that. So they talked very well about these games. They made me curious about these games, so I kind of want to play them, but I don't know them, so they both go into the haven't played but want to. Then we have Star Wars Imperial Assault. No idea what this game is. I have to say, all the Star Wars related things don't really attract me too much. I'm not too drawn into the Star Wars theme, but again, this is gonna go into the I don't know category, because I don't know anything about this game, and I know there's a lot of Star Wars games that are amazing despite the Star Wars theme that is not like my favorite. So for now, this is gonna go in I don't know it. The Galleries is a Vital Lacerda game. It's one of the two, I think, that are in this, three actually, that are in this BGG top 100, and this is the lowest ranked. I think there are three. I don't want to say something wrong, but maybe there's more. Anyways, what do I know about this game? I watched Monique and Naveen from Before You playing this game. I watched the whole Vital Lacerda series, and even though maybe this wasn't the most impressive Vital Lacerda game, I definitely would like to try it. Again, you need a very good audience. These are very heavy games. Maybe these not as much, but Vital Lacerda games are very, very, very heavy games where you basically need to have an audience of people that love spending 4 hours playing a game. Since I haven't played it, I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but you're managing a gallery with a lot of different possible actions, where it's basically like advancing the popularity of a certain painting or a photography or a sculpture, and then you're trying to have more visitors into your exhibition and so on. The theme is very peculiar. Vital Lacerda makes very, very peculiar themes every single time, so if you think this is weird, it's not. It's just Vital Lacerda. Actually, I just remembered there are probably 4 of the games in this ranking, maybe even more. So Vital Lacerda makes very heavy, very great games. That's why it's gonna go into haven't played but want to, and probably all Vital Lacerda games are gonna go there. The last game for this episode is going to be Outworn Into the Deep Woods. I haven't played this game again, but I know that Rob from Rob's Gaming Table hated it. Actually, he said in one of his videos being like, I rage quitted this game. I don't rage quit many games in my life because usually I find a way to enjoy them, but this game seemed to be like doing the same thing over and over again. Now, I'm just quoting him kind of, or don't take even these words as a I know nothing about Outworn, okay? So this just wasn't a good review for me. I think it's a very long campaign game. I don't know if I'm drawn to it at this point. I have so many more campaign games that I actually want to try, that playing Outworn at this point is not like my main goal. So for this reason, I'm gonna place it in haven't played it but don't want to. It's just a bad review. This is the power of one bad review, okay? The bad review that he gave to me, it was just like, to everybody, it was just like, that game, I hated it with all my heart. And that doesn't mean that since he hated it, I'm gonna hate it. But since I tend to watch videos of people that I have similar taste in common, I'm just gonna skip it for now, right? If it happens that I play Outworn, so be it. Honestly, I want to try it out. I want to try out every single game. But if I need to try a game, probably Outworn is not gonna be at the top of my list. Anyways, this was long enough. I thought this was gonna be much shorter than it actually is. See what I said when I said I was going to divide these in 3 parts, because that's what happens with me, right? I start talking and then I was just like, oh, it's 1 hour and a half, gone, fine. So I don't want to be too long, even longer, so this is everything for this video. We ranked the first 33 games in the top 100 of Board Games Geek. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're gonna watch the next ones. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you wanna know when the next videos are gonna come up, just click on the bell icon and have notifications enabled, right? But thank you very much. See you soon, and ciao ciao!